Alec Rowley, to be followed by Richard Lyle.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. They do say that the best line of defence is attack, and boy, have we seen plenty of that coming for these benches here today. Can I say and I would say that the first ability to be able to start to tackle a problem is to acknowledge that you have a problem. And if we're going to sit in denial where there are issues that have got to be addressed in the National Health Service, then we won't make progress. Joan McAlpine talks about record levels of consultants. The last time I checked in Fife, there was 37.7 consultant posts not filled because they were unable to fill them. And companies like Medinet were flying up people, consultants for England at the weekend to do homers in Fife. And I've raised with your predecessor, the previous Secretary, Alec Neil, specific cases of where that actually went wrong. And also talking about record levels of numbers, well, we're seeing more nurses, which I've welcomed going into NHS 5, but it's because we were highlighting the issues. Can I say, before I came into this place, I spent 2 years as the leader of Fife Council, and during those 2 years I was consistent in raising my concerns about the assumptions that had been made through the previous Right of Fife exercise that had put together how our hospitals would be coordinated and how health and social care would be run in Fife. And since coming into this place, I have consistently continued to raise those concerns, because I meet with nurses, I meet with staff in the hospitals on a regular basis, and I can see the pressures and the challenges that are there. And that's why I met with the predecessor, Alec Neil, to discuss many of those issues, and I was grateful for the meeting with the Health Secretary just last week, the week before. And can I say that I'm consistent also in praising the hard work and the care and the commitment which I certainly, and my family, have seen first-hand for NHS staff in Fife, and that's why I'm so vocal on this issue, because I'm so passionate about the National Health Service. And just as it was the greatest creation of the last century, we have a duty as politicians in this century to ensure that the Health Service can move forward and can be modernised to meet the needs of this century. Now, the week before last week, there was a report published, Accident and Emergency, that a healthcare environment inspector carried out an unannounced visit to the Victoria Hospital. And what it did say was that in the majority of wards and units inspected, the standard of environmental cleanliness was good. And that's the starting point, because that's what you would expect within a hospital. It then went on, however, and said there was an exception in accident emergency in Ward 5, the care of the elderly ward. In these areas and in the ICU, there was significant levels of dust. Concern was raised about the cleanliness of equipment. Accident emergency trolley frames were contaminated with blood and bloody fluids. Chairs, blood gas analysers, bed frames were contaminated in accident emergency, and I could go on. The Minister's obviously read all this, so I'm not going to continue to go on with it. The Chief Inspector said that basically they were extremely disappointed, so much so that they raised their concerns with the Scottish Government. Now, I would say to you, without going through and reading every bit of that, what I would say to you is that we have a responsibility and a duty as parliamentarians where those kind of issues are highlighted. We have a duty, surely, to come to this place and raise these issues and raise other issues of concern regarding the health service. That should not be seen as somehow attacking the health service or attacking health staff. Quite the reverse. We're on the side of the health service and health staff. Yes, Minister.
Senator Robertson.
I agree with that. However, you are the first speaker on the Labour benches to actually offer a balanced speech, which actually recognised the good things that are happening, as well as highlighting the difficult issues that have to be resolved. And that's the difficulty we have, is that there is no balance from Labour in the main. And can I reassure Alex Rowley on the point of the report? The HEI inspection will go back into that hospital and will absolutely make sure that those issues that were not good enough are absolutely resolved, and I can give him that reassurance.
Well, thank the Minister. And I would say to you that I have consistently called in Fife for a review of NHS Fife's ability to meet the health needs in Fife. There was a report that came out a few weeks ago in the Courier about accident emergency waiting times, and it compared Fife with Tayside and said that I can remember if it was Tayside had no problems, but they certainly didn't have a lot. NHS 5 had significant problems. And so what I'm saying to you is, in this term crisis, NHS 5 seems to have bounced from one issue to the next, and again I do come back to what assumptions were made when the reconfiguration of health services were put in place in 5. I remember back in the 1980s studying at a university in this city, and there was a report came out, the Griffiths report, and it talked about that was the start of community care, and it was the Conservative Party that were in power at that time and commissioned that. And I remember making the point that community care would not be care on the cheap. There are major pressures in terms of health and social care. So I would appeal to you, let's work together, but let's not pretend that everything's rosy or attack everybody when they try and raise issues of concern. Let's be proud of our National Health Service and work together to build that service so that we can be confident it delivers for all our citizens.